Hello, 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 and welcome to our podcast, Get It Off Your Chest, the funny side of breast cancer. I'm Estelle Marr, and we're broadcasting from Titty Towers, and I'm joined again today, every day, all the time, with my lovely podcast partner,
Andrea Moulding.
Andrea Moulding. How are you?
I'm all right, but not as good as you. You've just come back from Thailand, haven't you?
I have.
Bronzed and beautiful. You're one of those people that only has to look at the sun and go brown. Me, I'm kind of toast, like a burnt piece of toast, really.
Yeah, I'm sat here like I look like Michelle Obama / Donna Summer.
You do.
But yeah, did you miss me?
Did I miss you? Well, I've had to carry the podcast in your absence, replying to emails and the avalanche of stories that we've got in. So it's been a burden, but I've managed it. Just about.
Well, I tell you what, there were some cracking places out there for, if Titty Towers ever closes down. I think my personal favourite was one called Titty Twisters.
Titty Twisters.
Yeah. But I've decided, with all the ladyboys, I tell you what, some of the ladyboys out there, they're absolutely stunning.
Oh, gorgeous.
But they've all got these great tits, honest to God. And, I'm sure like some of our other listeners out there, when you've had reconstruction and, I don't know, you put like some pressure on your arm or you turn your arm a certain way and your reconstructed boob kind of all like caves in on itself a bit, like, when you used to push a Tiny Tears doll's head in at the forehead. It's like that.
Sorry, hang on. Is this some sort of scouse thing? You torment your Tiny Tears dolls, yeah?
The doll Tiny Tears. And didn't you ever used to push her face in just so she'd go really ugly?
I used to cut her hair off.
You did it posh because you were Southern. I wasn't allowed scissors, so I just punched their faces in. But if you get that image in your head, that's kind of what a reconstructed boob kind of goes like. But these ladyboys, they're all walking around with these fabulous tits and they're all perky and they're not indenting anywhere. So I've decided that I'm going to go back to Thailand and get a new pair of tits, Thai tits. That's what I want.
Cheaper than doing it here.
You reckon?
Yeah, I went to see the plastic surgeon, have my 3-month checkup on my new boob.
Oh, how did that go?
Oh, very well. Very impressed with my rather what was it? We called yours the retro one and mine the
yeah. I've got vintage tits.
Yeah, but it's my stomach that I'm struggling with because they cut you like you're kind of Frankenstein's wife. The muscles on my stomach are well. I was hoping to get that kind of flat stomach, but it's still really swollen up. So I think it's going to take about a year, he said, for that to go down. So by then I'll be absolutely gorgeous.
Well, in the meantime, you can just get a 24-hour girdle from Playtex, can't you?
I've got 3 already. I kind of got one on tonight. Yeah.
Have you? For a podcast that no one can see.
Yeah. It's all about how you feel inside, Estelle. If you feel
okay.
Yeah.
You're full of noise, you know that?
No, I know I am. Anyway, talking of our podcast, I rather hilariously, having had a few glasses of red wine, was going through Facebook Marketplace looking for...
Oh, God, what did you buy this week? What was it? Last week you were looking at how to build a zebra with a cardboard box, wasn't it? The other week it was how to build a house with fuzzy felt. What have you got now?
I bought a plastic mannequin and it's just a torso with very perky boobs, I'll have you know.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, right, well, we need a mascot for the podcast. So, like you do, I went and bought it, and then I sprayed it yellow, and I sprayed it on the wheelie bin outside. It looks like there's been a murder because like when they tape it off. The wheelie bin
like a death scene, but they draw around the body.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a body here with no head and no legs and no arms.
I got some funny looks from the neighbours. And then I cut out our logo off one of our kind of flyers that we did ages ago and stuck it on with Twit Stick, which wasn't that successful. So it's kind of coming off on the edges, but it does look cool. It looks really cool.
Is it?
Yeah, it's our new mascot. And if you look on Instagram, you will see some of my posts about it, and it's called.
Oh, okay. Oh, fine. All right. Well, wherever you bought it, do you think you'd be able to get me one, and I can decorate one too?
Well, maybe I already have.
Oh, have you? Oh, well, I haven't got yellow paint, so I don't know what colour I'm going to do mine. Whatever colour Farrow and Ball.
You'll do. You like your posh paints, don't you?
Oh, I do. I do like a Farrow and Ball.
I went down to Bonkers and bought some spray paint for a quid. You know, had to fight the kids that use it for graffiti spraying. So yeah,
it's a shop called Bonkers.
Yeah, it's called Bonkers. Yeah, it's one of my favourite shops. It sells absolutely everything you could possibly want in your life. And you know me, I like my cardboard box animals. So, you know, I'm always in there looking at art supplies.
Anyway, well, sounds like you've managed fine without me with your art projects and keeping on top of the letter bags.
It's been a struggle, but you know me, I'm hard as steel. Yeah.
Such a trooper, such a trooper.
I am a trooper while you were sunning yourself and drinking cheap Thai beer, having fun. And he kept sending me all these pictures. You sent me a picture of you lying on a sunbed with a beer in hand. And I sent you a picture of me walking the dog in my anorak.
Looking like a reject from a Nice 17 video.
Yeah. Oh, but you had a great time, didn't you?
We did. How
are the mosquitoes with your lymphedema? I was a bit worried about you, to be honest.
Well, I'd had lots of mosquito-treated clothing, which cost me an absolute fortune. Yeah, I had that they say it's really strong. Well, no, I found like the super, super strong stuff that was like mustard gas.
So all that DEET, is that why you're the colour you are? Because it's kind of...
Yeah, it's stained with DEET. It's DEET by Cuprinol.
It affects your liver that you change colour. Yeah.
I look like I've had my teeth done as well, don't I, on this video?
Yeah, sorry, I've just gone and put my sunglasses on because you are
got teeth like Brian Tilsley. Not that the our American audience will know who he is, but there you go. Anyway, right. Talking of our American audience, again this week we've got another American guest. Her name is Dr. Charley Ferrer. Is that how you say her name?
We're not quite sure.
Really sorry, Dr. Charley, we're really sorry. But she is a renowned clinical sexologist and sex therapist, so we might not be talking about cancer much on this.
It's actually your favourite subject, so yeah. That's another podcast we're putting together.
That's one of those specials, isn't it?
Yeah, the Christmas special, the late night edition. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll have to get some sexy music.
That's sexy music. That's the beginning of the podcast. We don't need it.
Oh my God!
Didn't you say when you gave the guy the you told him how you wanted the music to be for the podcast? Didn't you say like a porn film or something? What was it you said?
I never said I wanted it like the striptease. Well, I suppose it is a bit porny. I said I want it like the striptease tube, just a bit more jolly. That was all I said, and he come back with that. So fair enough, good news, Joe. Yeah, if we want a sexy one, I think we just need to slow our theme tune down. That'd probably make it all a bit sexy, wouldn't it?
I think you're gonna have to do that.
But it sounds like she's just landing on the runway now. So here she is. Welcome, Dr. Charley.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Can you hear me?
Show.
Wonderful to be here.
Great to meet you in person.
Pleased to meet you, Charley. Where are you based, by the way?
I'm actually in Florida.
Oh, okay. Just before we start with with your funny cancer story, should we say, want to tell us just a little bit about your own cancer journey, when you were diagnosed, what kind of cancer you had, and the treatment?
Sure. So I was diagnosed I was diagnosed on February 9th, 2016, and I was diagnosed afterwards with a stage 2A breast cancer. They stayed in the ducts, so it didn't go anywhere. I did have some of my lymph nodes were removed, but there was no cancer in the lymph nodes. I was actually very busty, so I was like double D plus. And so now my joke is I'm a B minus because they took the girls away. um and so and one of my jokes is my doctor had told me that I could keep my double D's, but now I'm a B minus. And it's like, these aren't American D's. These are like Asian D's, And, and like my doctor was Asian, so maybe he just had the sizes wrong.
So one of the stories that we heard about is you've put on this play about cancer and what have you. And you've been talking in particular about a journalist who said you can't make, anything funny about cancer. Do you want to tell us about that and tell us more about the play as well, why you did it?
Tell us all about it.
So the journalist came in and she's interviewing me and she goes, "Oh, well, it's nice that you're doing a play on breast cancer and it must be so sad." And I'm like, sad? It's not sad. It's hysterical. I mean, there are some bits that make you stop and might make you get teary-eyed, but I did it in such a way that it's funny.
So what is the play actually about? I know you're saying it's about breast cancer.
The play is actually stories. So I had interviewed over 100 men and women about their breast cancer. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just me. I wasn't that special that I got all these crazy things happen, Like I want to win the lottery special. I don't want to be the special weird child. And so I started asking people about their story and what's going on with them. And so the story is a compilation of like 100 stories of men and women that have gone through breast cancer and all the ups and downs that they have and all those crazy moments we experience as we're going through it. And so instead of having 100 people tell their story, I just did 8 characters that would then switch between one story and 2 stories and so on. And so you see them progressing.
One of the funny stories that one of your characters has.
So one of the funniest stories is the zombie stripper. It became the part of all the different doctors and interns. I became the one to come to, the one to see. It got to where I would be sitting there with my tits hanging out. I'm sitting there and they're just, and they're looking and looking. And so one day I got really upset because this young little intern comes running in. "Oh, I gotta see. And I'm sitting there with my tits out and I just looked at him and I'm like, "You want to see? $5. $5 for you to see the tits." And he just looked at me like I was crazy. And his physician, his supervisor goes, "You heard her. $5 or get out."
The physicians all of a sudden become a pimp.
Yeah. I've actually been asked to do a stand-up routine on some of the things.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
And I'll tell you, that experience happened to me like almost 5 years ago. But the funnier one is the one that just happened to me 3 weeks ago. So isn't it funny that all the experience, because I have to laugh because all the funny experiences are with my tits hanging out, right? So here I am laying on the examination table and this doctor checks me out. Then he sits down, but it's the way he sat down. So he sat down, throws his arm over the chair, sticks his legs out. I'm waiting for the hand in the pants. He's so relaxed. Yeah, and I'm laying there with my tits out and I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're making me feel like a prostitute." He's like, "What? What?" And I'm like, "Well, you're making me feel like a prostitute. I'm here totally exposed. You're sitting there, and trying to have a conversation with me." He goes, "Oh, well, go ahead. Sit up and get dressed." So I sit up and I close my gown. And his nurse hands me my blouse and my bra. And I just looked at him and I'm like, I charge extra for people watching me get dressed. And he just gets a little indignant. He goes, "Oh, well, we could close the curtain." So he closes the curtain halfway and you can still see me. And I'm looking at him and I just shook my head and I'm like, "You're not getting this, are you?" And he goes, "Oh, right. I'll close it all the way." And he closed it, but he still didn't close it all the way. Yeah. And I'm just like, "Maybe you should leave the room while I get dressed." He goes, oh, yeah, I could do that too. For God's sake. And I'm just sitting there, just shaking my head. I'm like, seriously, you don't get this. And I want to preface this by saying, or mention, he wasn't trying to be inappropriate. And that was what made it even funnier, because he wasn't trying to be a pervert. He wasn't trying to, he was
just being
genuinely
bone
shocked.
idle. He couldn't shut
Yes.
the curtain all the way across.
Exactly. And so it's, for me, part of why I did the play was because I wanted to show some of these inappropriatenesses that are happening to women, that they don't get it.
We've never heard
Because
of anything like this, have we, Andrea?
Well, I mean, my surgeon told me, I put in, my book, and I've moaned about it before. When I had my breast reconstruction, I stood there and there were loads of students. They were lifting up my belly, saying how kind of fat I was. And it was really, humiliating. But I love my surgeon. I absolutely love him. He's fantastic and did a brilliant job.
I think it's also the different doctors that you get, because some people have great experiences. It just so happened that I had some of the crazy doctors.
Yeah.
And so I look at it from the perspective of, well, the universe wanted me to have all these crazy experiences so that I can then I can write the play, and I can talk about all the other women and things that happen, and find where these things are happening. Because we also did a couple of documentaries, and in some of the documentaries, you'll hear the men and women talk about what they experienced. Not to this extent, like in the play, but it is that part of when the doors are closed is when the things happen.
So what do you think? What are your funny moments that get the most laughs? What are your highlights in the play, would you say?
I would say the zombie stripper is a fun one. Actually, which most people would not think it's funny, but we do have a piece on suicide. And so in the suicide one of the women talks about all the ways that she thought about killing herself, and then all the ways that she thought about it not working. Like in one point, she thought about hanging herself. And so she was just going to, wrap a rope around, and she was going to jump off the balcony and just end it all. And then she goes on to say, but then I remembered that I don't know how to tie a knot, and I don't know how to, how to make a noose. So I would just probably jump off the balcony and just break my legs, and I wouldn't kill myself, And then she goes, but then another time I thought about, just taking a fistful of sleeping pills, because the doctor just gave them to me. But then I remembered I don't swallow well, and it always makes me think I'm going to vomit. And so, I would have to take one at a time. And by the time I got to enough of them, I would probably fall asleep, and then and I'm just thinking, well, that is funny as hell, isn't it? And then she turns around and she goes, I thought of just slashing my wrist. And I'm like, okay, this person, we need to get you in to see a doctor or something to help with this depression. So she goes, well, I had it all planned out. I was going to get in the tub. I was going to get Calgon. I was going to just relax and put on some jazz, and nobody would be home. And I would just cut my wrist. But if I chickened out halfway, then I have blood everywhere, all over the bathroom, and I have to clean that up, and it's just like, and she goes, I didn't feel like cleaning it up. And then she goes, but you know what really pisses me off? And she goes, well, when I got out of the tub, I slipped on the carpet, and I could have hurt myself, and it's like, you think of these pieces, and you go, oh my God, it's so sad that you're thinking that. But it's also a good way to say, yes, you're taking care of yourself. You're thinking it through. And now, by the way, let's get you to somebody that can help you with all this stress and all this thinking. But it is that part of it. It was so funny to see her rationalize how she would hurt herself, and why it wasn't a good thing, so that was the good part that made me comfortable as a therapist to go, okay, well, you're not in imminent danger, but you are rationalizing through it and noticing that this isn't the right thing to do.
Can I just ask, and I've noticed that you're a clinical sexologist and sex therapist. Do you ever have breast cancer patients come in under that umbrella where, you know, the two are linked somehow?
A lot of what I see as a sex therapist for women with breast cancer is more of connecting with their bodies again. If you've had a mastectomy or you had a reduction, then how do you look at yourself now? Because of this traumatic experience. And breast cancer is traumatic. If you're in a relationship, the one sadness that I see that happens as far as relationships is that for women, a lot of the relationships are lost. And it's like, you know what? Okay, they're out of your life. And now you're starting your new life. But you're starting your new life from a perspective of, let's create this woman that I am now. In order to allow yourself the intimacy, you need to be comfortable with your body first, and then you can show your body to your partner. And I also say one of the workshops that I do is called Living and Dying from a Breast Perspective, and being able to realize the connections that we have to our breasts and how and why those are so important. And then to be able to say goodbye, to be able to have that mourning period of saying, you know what, you're gone now, or you're different. And let me say goodbye to that aspect of myself. And that's the one piece that nobody ever, you know, I don't want to say nobody, but most of the people don't realize that, yes, we do need to mourn the loss of our breasts. Wow.
We've said to a few guests, you know, and we've all said it about, you know, you've got to go through that process. You've got that, and like you said, however way you want to do it, you know, Andrea and I, we both wrote books and what have you, but you do have to process it somehow, and you have to come to terms with the fact that you're not the same person, you haven't got the same body. And if your fellow or your partner, should say, is you know, if he's not prepared to support you, then good riddance to him as well as your manky boob, quite frankly. That's the way I look at it. You know, if these men and women, whoever they are, cannot support you through at that time, they just don't deserve to be with you. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
Isn't that
Exactly.
right?
And isn't it wonderful to know it now, so you could get rid of them and get them out of the way, so that the people that belong in your life can step
new
in.
body, new partner, new attitude.
We were saying that cancer is house clearing. You know,
Yes.
find out who your mates are, we were talking about this, weren't we, the other day?
Yeah, we were talking about it we were calling it like a life cleanse, wasn't we? You know, or I call it a J cloth moment. J cloths in Britain, they're like, you know, the things that you wipe the surfaces down with. And I keep saying periodically, I'm going to have a bit of a J cloth moment in my life where, you know, you just need to clear a bit of head clutter or people or attitude or whatever, but it's just get rid of it. If it's not serving you, get rid of it. It's as simple
Get
as
rid of it. Yeah. And it's okay to love people from afar, you know. I mean, some people are in your family, they might be your brothers and sisters or your mom or your dad or your uncle, whoever. You know, I love you, but I can't stand you. So I'm going to love you from afar. Just call me, let me know you're fine, and that's it. Because all that toxicity isn't helping you.
No. There's lots of people in my life that I
down.
love. I just don't particularly like them. And that's the difference. You know, I do love a lot of people, but there are people in my life that I just think, I love you, but I don't like you. I really don't like you. So
I'll see you next year.
See you at Christmas when I send you the jar of jam. Well, Charley, it's been fabulous talking to you.
I think your Breast Cancer Diaries, you know, I can't wait for them to come to the UK. And if you ever come to the UK, you look us up. We would love to take you out for lunch, wouldn't we?
But if people want to look you up, how can they find you?
They can find me on our website, cancertamer.org.
Are you on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that?
So they can contact me on Facebook at Cancer Tamer. Any other way, contact me through you.
Yeah,
through your website, and be able to connect that way.
That's fabulous.
And if I may put a little pitch out there. So you know, one of the things that I would love to do is to see the play performed all over the place. If an organization would like to do it as a fundraiser for themselves, I'm all for it. Just make sure to contact me. You know, the only requirement I have is that you tag Cancer Tamer for it. But it is that piece that the word needs to get out. The education needs to get out. And we need to do that because nobody's doing it for us. And that's why I love your show, because I was telling a friend of mine, every Friday I put you guys on so that I could have a laugh for my morning routine and be able to listen to what you're saying. And just, it's so wonderful and so empowering to have that. So thank you, ladies, for
you're very, very
inviting
welcome.
me.
And thank you for joining us on today's show.
You've been a fantastic guest, and keep in touch. We've made another new friend. So lovely to meet you. Thank you so much.
See you soon. Thank you, Charley. Bye.
Bye, Charley. Bye.
So that was Dr. Charley Ferrer from Florida. She was a clinical sexologist. I thought, we might get more sexy top tips, but I guess not. We're going to have to start watching some other sexy programs, aren't we? Sex Education is back on Netflix, so maybe we need to start watching that again. So to keep our men happy. Not that
I've never seen the first series.
Very good, actually. Yeah, my kids told me to watch it. I don't know why. A bizarre thing for your kids to say, watch Sex Education. Maybe they think that it'll put their father in a good mood and you'll basically buy them all kinds. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, she was very, very good. And what did you think?
Yeah, I think she was great. I think the Breast Cancer Stories is an amazing play. And if there's any organisations out there that want to do a fundraiser and put the play on, look her up or come through us. But definitely it's a story that needs to be heard.
Right then. Well, let's draw a close to today's show. It's been another good one, as per usual, because we're just absolutely amazing.
We're fabulous, darling. Fabulous.
Right. So if anybody wants to contact us, what do they need to do?
Well, you can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also find us on...
hang on a minute. That seems a bit daft to say that because they're listening to the podcast. So they've obviously already found us.
Okay, well, you've already found us, so, I'll shut up. But if you also want to find out a little bit more, you can look at us on Instagram and Facebook. And as usual, we'd like you to like, subscribe, follow, and we'd also like you to give us a review. So if you think we're as fabulous as we clearly think we are, if you could give us a review just to kind of help us reach more people.
That'd be fabulous. And don't forget, you can write into stories@tittytowers.com. You can write in anonymously. You can give yourself a funny name. You don't even have to come on the show. You can just write in and we will read your stories out. So until next time, stay healthy.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.